there, it's nice to see you folks. I'm glad you could make it to see my nativity collection. I'm sure you'll enjoy it very much. You can come into the house now, and then we'll go out into my new nativity room after we finish with the house. I'd love to have you come in and take your coats off and get comfortable. These here are my greeters to my nativities. They were made by my daughter Donna, and they both have glasses. His don't stay on him very well now, so they're in his pocket, and he lost his pipe. And I asked my daughter why she doesn't have a handkerchief in her pocket, and she told me she has something else in her pocket, and what she has in her pocket are her teeth. This set here is made out of sheep's wool. I got it at high school when they had a craft fair there about 5 years ago. The man who made them had originally lived in Guilford, and he lives up in northern Vermont on a sheep farm, so the wool is all wool from their sheep that he puts into the set. This little one is made out of a sandwich roll. I have directions to them, and you can also make a bigger one. I went to a nativity convention in Hyannis, Mass, the first one I've been to, and they showed us how to make these, and I bought this particular one, but I'm in hopes of someday trying to make the bigger one. This nativity is made out of chocolate candy. I've had it for probably 4 years. I had it upstairs in off-season. I thought it was safe up there from being packed away where it was hot, but we had a real hot summer that year, and it almost melted it, but it mainly just melted the color of the chocolate. It was a dark chocolate to begin with. This angel here is a Jim Shore angel, one of my favorite people who does angels and nativities, but this one has real special meaning because it came on about 3 or 4 weeks after my grandson and his girlfriend were killed in an accident last year, and on it it says, "Welcome home, someday we will be in paradise together." And I bought 5 of them to give to family members, which is really a special angel. This one right here is a very simple wooden nativity, which I got off eBay about 4 years ago, and a couple people have taken a pattern of it to try to make one themselves. It's just really simple and shows the true meaning of the simple life. And This set was given to me 2 years ago by Stacy, and she found she has a studio apartment in Brattleboro, and almost all the pieces that are in this are from down around the railroad tracks behind her apartment, and they're made out, the stones are from there. There's quite a few. The figures, Mary Joseph and the baby, are made out of stone. Some are shells from Florida. Some are pieces she had used to do things at the for the Metropolitan Opera Theater, and she just did a really unique job on it. This nativity was given to me by Doris Ryan. She's a good friend of mine, and she's in her 90s, and I take her communion once a month, and she wanted to give me something special for Christmas one year. This angel is one I got probably about 6 or 7 years ago. I got her partly because she was the prettiest one that they had there, and the main reason I got her is because I have African American grandchildren that my daughter adopted, and so I thought they would really enjoy having me get an angel that was African American. This set is from made in France, and Santons is the name of the company, and they have a distributor in Maine, and this is one at the first convention I went to. I got a couple of the pieces, and I've added on to it in the last 3 or 4 years, every 1 or 2 pieces every year. This set here is one I crocheted about 5 years ago. It's with yarn that was very expensive, and I thought at the time I shouldn't have used it, but it came out beautiful. The colors are beautiful, and the feel of it is just beautiful. And the colors are rich. This set here, plus the angels and a few other crosses, was, I went to Ireland in May, and this is something I brought back from there. It's very pretty. And the angels are all from there. The crosses, this cross is Connemara marble. This nativity here is a willow tree nativity. They're quite famous now. They came out a few years ago, and I have a whole shelf full of their angels besides the nativity collection one here, and that's about the best spot I could find for it, is up on top of the hutch. This is one in the back of the shelf that my daughter Donna gave me about 5, 6 years ago. She got it at Yankee Candle, and it's beautiful. The material is stiffened material, and the faces are just fantastic on them. They're beautiful pieces. This set is a Precious Moment set that I had given to me when I retired from working at a place for 33 years. One of our customers gave it to me. This is a Berta Hummel set that I got through the mail. I bought pieces for a couple years. You could get different pieces. And the bottom shelf are some of the shepherds and different visitors to the Nativity. This set is one that was made in Nigeria. I got this at the Nativity Convention I went to in Santa Fe, New Mexico 2 years ago. It was on their white elephant table, so I got it very reasonable. This set here is one that was made in Poland, and it was given to me by a lady in her mid-80s that I bowl with. She asked me if I'd like her old set, and I was amazed when I see that it was this one, because I wasn't expecting it. It's made out of wood. This is one of my favorites, too. This Amish set was made by a lady in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, who lives beside the Amish people, and she wrote a little art paper that I have beside it, telling that she doesn't do faces on them because of their religion. They do not believe in showing their faces. This one here is quite unique in its appearance. I got it from a store in Brattleboro 2 years ago, Verdi's, and it was made by refugees from the Congo in Africa. This set I got when I went to Alaska probably 8 years ago, and the first set I got there, I hadn't seen any. I got one, and when I got back on the ship it said made in China, so I had to do some more research. This came from Juneau, Alaska, and some of the pieces I sent for after I got home, but it's very unique. It's real fur on Mary and Joseph and on the shepherd, and the animals from their section of the country are in the Nativity. This set here is a pewter set. I won it at St. Michael's Bazaar 3 years ago, and a lot of people thought it was a fixed rig because I had won the Nativity, but I did take a lot of chances. And it's a set that is retired now. It's made by a famous name, which at this point I don't remember what the name is, but it's a retired set. This set was made, given to me by my daughter Donna, but it was made by Carrie Harlow in Putney, and it's a snowman one. They all have bases, and the stable has a light in it. And there's bright costumes on the kings. This set was made in the Philippines. It's very neat. It's made out of tin, and it was one that I got up at the Wilmington Flea Market, and they had it just in a bag, and I'm amazed none of the pieces were bent or broken to it, but it makes a beautiful one for over my fireplace. This here is a fireplace, not a real one, but one that really looks neat, and it came from the convent the sisters lived in from our church, St. Michael's Catholic Church, and when they left they put it into the flea market, and I happened to get it, and then I've got the stained glass one in front of it that kind of shines pretty good. This is nativity, quilted nativity that my granddaughter Tricia made me probably 8 years ago, and she made the main part, and then I got that for Christmas, and I asked her if she could do the shepherds and the wise men, and she said sure, so she did me the whole set. This Advent calendar my daughter Donna Rhodes made for me probably 3 years ago, and each day, like all the Advent calendars, you add a new piece to it until the end when you add the baby. It's out of material and felt pieces and a Velcro that sticks to the pieces. This is a storybook that my daughter Donna is working on for me. She's made about 8 story pages and 8 pictures to it, and this is one of the beginning ones, and I will change it over to the picture that goes with it, and the rest of them I'll have, and hopefully she'll be able to finish it soon. It's beautiful, the embroidery. It's all embroidered, and each one has a writing about the picture. And this project is going to be made into a storybook that will be turned. I'm not just sure how it works, but when it's finished, I'll know. This set here is in a pair of hands, and it was gotten at Hyannis at the first nativity convention I went to, and it's made in Peru. I think it's very unique. It's another one that I'm quite fond of. This set is made out of nails. It's another one I got at the nativity convention in Hyannis 4 years ago, and each one of the figures is made out of a nail. My daughter Donna does a lot of embroidery. She has a sewing machine she does it on, and she's done me a couple sample pictures to see if I wanted it on something, and so I framed this one. And she's also done shirts and a big quilt and a book. She's done a lot of nativity things for me. This is one of the many shirts that my daughter has embroidered for me. She's probably done about 5 of them. And then she also has done something on the back of this one. And this is a full nativity on the back. This set here is from Costa Rica. Friends of mine, Dale and Barbara, were on vacation, and they brought it back to me probably about 4 years ago. This little white ivory colored set is from Vietnam. Linda Gordon, when she went to Vietnam, she goes on quite a few trips. She brought me this one back, and it's very unique. This set here I got at the Nativity Convention in Santa Fe, New Mexico 2 years ago. It's the baby is under the green canopy or whatever on the boat there, and the sheep on one end, and shepherd, and then the wise men, and a couple bunches of bananas on the back side. This is a throw I saw that I thought was beautiful, so I have about 5 different throws, but this was something new this year that I added to it. This on this top shelf in my sunroom, I have an AIDS angel I got a few years ago, and I decided about last year to put my son's picture beside the AIDS angel, and there's a boy angel there, and an AIDS ribbon that my daughter Diana had gotten me right after Ron died. And then the blue candle in the middle is a candle that the blue symbolizes somebody who you've lost. And then as we go along, my grandson Kevin and his girlfriend Kelsey were killed in a car accident last year, and so I have a boy angel and a girl angel beside them, and it's part of my Christmas memory. This set here, Mary and Joseph and the baby and the angel were gotten when I was in Ireland in May. I hope sometime they'll make more pieces to it and I can get some other pieces, and for the time being I have a willow tree angel standing beside it. This set here is quite neat. It's in a little adobe hut-like, and it was made when I went to the Nativity Convention in Santa Fe, New Mexico. One day we spent with these people and they had us for lunch, and she made this stuff. It's out of some kind of clay type stuff, I believe, and so I asked her if she could make me a set, and she made it, and I got it about a month after I came home from it, and that's very different. This set here is made in the West Bank, Israel. I purchased it at Twice Upon a Time 2 years ago. It's all hand carved out of wood, and the stable also was made in the West Bank, Israel. This set here is one that was made in Mexico, and it was purchased in Mexico by Paul and Mary Miller when they were on vacation. When they came back, they called me up and said they had a treat for me, and this is what it was. Very different. This little set here is a 2.5-inch Fontanini set. It's made in Italy, and it's made out of polymer. It is just like my big set that's upstairs, which is a 5-inch set. And this set here is retired now, but the features on them, they're hand painted and mostly hand done. And I have met 3 of the great-grandsons who do this business now. They come to the States once a year, and I've met 3 of the 5. This nativity is one that my daughter Deb made for me about 5 or 6 years ago. It's made out of felt over some type of wires, and a wooden cradle for the baby, and I don't know what the other pieces are to it, but that's what it's made out of, mostly felt and wire. This nativity set was given to me last year by Alan Sargent. He was someone I hadn't seen for years. He used to be ski jumping coach for my son Steve, and he called me up and wanted to know if I would like to have his set because they didn't have room to fit it in anymore. And so I said, oh, I'd love it, and I went and got it, and I couldn't believe when I took it out, all the pieces, because this is an old set that probably goes back to at least the 1950s, maybe earlier than that, and every piece is in perfect shape. And the stable was made by some friend of his that made it for him for his set. This set is one of my newest ones. Reverend Lisa Sparrow, from the minister from Guilford, was in Brazil, and she had people there. She told them what she wanted them to do to make it special for me, so it's got quite a few dried pieces of things put into it, and I believe it's corn husks that this is made out of. This set was made in Poland. It's a one-piece set. It's, I believe, a replica of the original Polish church, and I got this in Pennsylvania at Our Lady of Czestochowa Church there. We stayed at the retreat house there when we went on a 4-day trip this year. This set here came from Czechoslovakia. I got it at the first nativity convention I went to, and I thought it was very unique. It's made all out of wire, and it's gray wire, and it really depicts the scene very well. This little set is made out of bread dough. It's quite unique and put together very nicely, and it was made in one of the foreign countries, which I can't remember just which one at this point. This is a picture that my daughter Deb gave me about 4 or 5 years ago. She cross-stitched it of the baby Jesus with Santa, which he's depicted that way quite often. I have a Fontanini piece that has Santa with the baby just like that. This set was given to me about 4 years ago. It was made by a lady in her late 70s who has since died, but it's all plastic canvas, and anyone who's done anything with plastic canvas knows how much work there is in that. It was very special to me. This set was made out of ash from Mount St. Helens, and my youngest daughter Diana got it for me one year for Christmas off of eBay. This is a new set I got this year. It was given to me from Kay Fleming, and it's one made in Peru. It's out of some type of clay, and the Mary and Joseph have a whistle in each one of them that really whistles, and I hope to find out by some research just what the whistle stands for in them. This set, one of my granddaughters, Jenny, got me when she went to Puerto Rico. It's made put onto a piece of driftwood, and the frog is their national animal, and each one of the pieces is made out of some type of clay. My largest one is the one made by Fontanini. It's made in Italy. The 5 great-grandsons run that business now, and I've met 3 of the 5 great-grandsons, and they're great people. The set is made out of polymer, and I probably have about 130-something pieces to that set now, which covers pretty much a 1 room. About 5 years ago, I got a phone call from somebody in Brattleboro. It was somebody I didn't know, but they were moving to Florida, and they knew I had the nativity collection, and they wanted to know if I'd like the one they had. I didn't realize it was one from a different country, which made it even more special, and this set is from Nicaragua. This particular nativity was given to me by Dale O's from Guilford. He made it for me about a month and a half before he died, and he put a little cross in the back of it. He made the baby's bed, and he had his daughter help him on eBay to pick out a nativity that would fit in it, and he gave it to me just about a month and a half before he died. This particular set is a Thomas Piccone set. It's one that I got this year, and he makes all kinds of ornaments, and this is probably one of the first nativity sets he's done, and it's made out of blown glass. This set is quite unique. I've never seen another one like it. It's very heavy. It's built into a cave like under the tree, and it belonged to Father Nato from St. Michael's Catholic Church, where I belong, and he died, and the parish offered it to me if I'd like it. This is a wooden set, hand-carved in Vermont and made out of wood from Vermont, and it was given to me by Ann Chapman, who's a daughter-in-law of mine. Quite unique. This picture was given to me from one of the ladies I met at the spa when I used to go swimming, and she brought it back from Panama, and it's all small pieces of material all put together to form the nativity. This felt nativity was made by a lady in her 80s who told me she had a little something for me. She goes to our church. I think she's from Wardsboro, but at the minute I can't remember her first name. But it's all little felt animals, people, and it's just got a lot of loving touch to it. Now we'll go out to the my new nativity room, and as you can see by the sign on the door, it's named Shirley's Touch of Heaven, and that was named by one of the people who came out to visit my nativities the first year we had this room, which was in 2004 when it was finished. So, welcome in. This set here is one that I got 3 years ago from Dale O's. Had his mother-in-law and sister-in-law looking for them, and this is came from New York State and made by some handicapped children in a home. They made it from the mold up. It's a beautiful set, and it means a lot. This set up above it is one that was given to me by Teresa Rimfrit's children after she had died. She was a girl I went to school with, so there's another real meaningful one. My granddaughter Jenny made me this set when she was about 8 or 9 years old, and so she made it in school, I think, and so that's pretty special to me. And then the one down below, and this set, my granddaughter who made the one I just was telling about, Jenny, gave me this about 2 years ago, and she's now has 3 children of her own. And this is a Jim Shore nativity set. He's quite famous with his painting on the articles. It has a painting on each one of them, so it's very unique. I have a lot of his pieces. This little wooden three-piece set was given to me by a lady who came out about 3 years ago to see the set and brought it to me. It's made out of painted on 2x4s. That's kind of different and unique. This particular set is quite a large set. It was given to me by a girlfriend of mine, Eleanor, when I retired from work about 10 years ago. And that's a nice addition to my set. This little red, white, and blue set I got in Canada at St. Joseph's Oratory. I had picked up a different set, and when I got home it was a few days before 9/11, and I decided to call and see if I could still get the USA one, and they still had it, so I added that to the collection at that time. This set up here, it's a little hard to see, but it's one that came off eBay about 4 years ago. I got quite a few off eBay. And this is one that's starch material. It looks a lot like paper mache, and a lot of people comment on this particular set. This picture here was made for me 3 Christmases ago, and it's pictures. My daughter Donna put it together, and she did a stable from the petting farm in Brattleboro and their animals, and she took pictures of all of my great-grandchildren and 2 of my grandchildren and put them all together in nativity and little pictures on the sides with the angels, the shepherds, the wise men, and then just Mary and Joseph. And they're all my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. That's very special to me. This set here is very old and very fragile. And the person who gave it to me was 97 years old, Sylvia O'Donnell, and she didn't think I'd want it because it was so old and chipped, and I told her it had a lot more meaning, and it was made, she had it since the early 1930s, and this is the only set I don't put the baby in until Christmas Eve, because that's the way she did it. So I do hers that way, so you won't see the baby in it at this point, and if I did it with all of my sets, I wouldn't have the right baby with the right one, but I do honor her that way. This set down here is one that I got little by little at a store heading to Keene. It's old pieces, and I bought Mary, Joseph, and Baby one year, and a couple years later I went into the store and I saw they had a lot of different pieces, and they were willing to sell them pretty reasonable, so for the next 3 years I think I added to this collection, and I think I've gotten all their pieces, but it is kind of unique. It has a lot of different pieces to it. This stained glass one on the shelf at the window was given to me by Trudy. She came out to see my nativities one time with a friend of mine, and the next week she came out and she had made these sets for this one for her mother and one for her mother-in-law, and she brought me out both sets. So I told her they were in a safe place, and she was pleased that I liked them. This set here is one that was given to me in the spring from one of my neighbors about a mile away from me, and it belonged to his stepmother, and he said he didn't have room. It's 21 pieces to it. And so it's very special to have gotten this new one, and it's very bright. And I have an angel that's going to be going right here, but I just haven't finished all my details yet. This one with the Alleluia on it, I got it at a Christmas shop in Wilmington that's moved to Florida now, but it's very unique because it spells out Alleluia, and then it has each one of the pieces on top of the blocks. So that's really neat. These 3 spoons were done by friends of mine, Gary and Cindy. They hand painted them. They had done some scenes on spoons, and I saw them and I asked them if there was a chance they could do a nativity on them. So they asked me to bring down some cards, and they did those from cards I took down to them. This little 3-piece set is made out of stones from Lake Champlain. No two pieces are ever the same, They're all different, and it was given to me by a daughter-in-law who lives up that way, and it's very unique because they're just the stones the way they got them from the sides of the lake. This nativity is one that I just got this year. Fran Duggan from the church I go to, St. Michael's, said that it was one that Father Nato had bought years ago before he died, and he never had got it set up, so she wanted to know if I'd like to add it to my collection. I've been collecting it as a collection probably for about 13 years, and the reason I started is I used to have other collections of spoons and Beanie Babies, and I couldn't see any meaning in them. And before it was even a collection, I had 5 or 6 sets, and that's the true meaning, is I believe, of Christmas, and it just was very fun to start a collection like this. I have about 950 nativity scenes, and of them I probably have 45 from different countries around the world, and quite a few of the different states in the United States. And I have them anywhere from the original style of nativity to animals of all types of nativities made out of probably at least 30 or 40 different materials. My collection started out with a few that I had bought, and friends of mine go to yard sales. They always pick them up if they see them. When friends go on vacations, they get them for me, and I pick them up anywhere I see a different one, and I try to go into the stores without looking, but it doesn't work. And I have strangers call me and offer me a set that just last year, Alan Sargent, who was my son's ski jumping coach, called me up out of the blue and wanted to know if I'd like his set, which is a beautiful set. I have 3, as far as when I put things away, I put away all the shelves in the house. Out in the nativity room, we put plastic around those, and we have to pick up the bottom shelf because sometimes the mice seem to walk around out there. And in the house, everything gets put away except for the ones in the 3 hutches. And then a favorite of mine is Jim Shore, so I do leave out quite a few of his. But I get back to putting up pictures of my family after Christmas time. The smallest one is probably a little one made out of wood that was hand carved and signed in Oatman, Arizona. And I have a couple others that are pretty little too. I have one in a bottle from Chile that's quite little. I think out of all of my collections, one of my favorites is one that my daughter Donna did. She took hours and hours to photograph a picture of all of my great-grandchildren and 2 of my grandchildren into the nativity scene, which was taken individually and part of it with them together at she used the stable at the Retreat Petting Farm and some of their animals, and she did a beautiful job on it. Another favorite is my Amish set that was made by a lady in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And, well, there's a lot of favorites, but those 2 stand out. A little small one made in Peru with being held in hands is really unique. I have nativities all through my house in every room except one room upstairs that's a small bedroom, and also where I put things to get rid of them during the season. And they're in all my hutches. And then I have a couple out in the yard, and then I used to have some in my rough garage, but my son Tim decided he'd like to do over the half of the garage, so he took a little more than half of the garage and made it into a finished room with shelves all around. Shelves I can take out if I want to make it a bigger, longer shelf. put in all lights and light switches, so it's a beautiful room out there. Back in, I believe, 1998, I decided that in order to do the work of setting nativities up, which probably at that time I only had about, maybe even only 150, but to set them up and just for myself to enjoy them and my family, it wasn't worth the work of doing it. So I decided that I would like to offer the public to be able to see these. And so that's the year I started inviting the public. And the first year maybe there weren't so many here, but after that, from the last few years, there's been 200 to 250 people that come from all over to see the nativities. I have a lot of the nursing homes come, school children come, and other groups, and they just are so fascinated by them that it makes it all worthwhile when they come to just see the smiles on their faces and the enjoyment and the meaning they get out of such a collection as this. I open my collection for people to come see usually from December 1st to January 31st, and even a little after that if somebody's going to be around and hasn't been able to come. I also have let people come early if they're here at Thanksgiving time, even though it isn't always finished. The way people do come to, I always like them to call anywhere where it's advertised. I mention my phone number and would like them to call because I don't want it to be a whole line of people all at once because they wouldn't enjoy it so much. I like to have people come in their own groups or a family, and then when they come, I take them through. It probably lasts an hour, at least an hour and 15 minutes because I have treats for people after they've looked around. They sit in the sunroom and we talk about the nativities and what they liked about them. And so I have my number so they can call me, and I set up a time which is good for both of us. I belong to an organization, the AIDS Project. I'm a volunteer there, and I started volunteering right after my son Ron died with AIDS in 1993. Actually, before that, I never thought AIDS was something that would touch my family or anyone I knew, and little did I know that it was right there. And so they had helped my son a lot, so I wanted to give back a little to them by helping as much as I could. And so the first year I started doing the walk, and since then I've done 14 walks, and this last year, with the help of so many people that give every year, over 500, I was able to raise $19,000 for them. And it's really just unbelievable how well people do give to something like that. We have a really special community around here. And then I was also a buddy for one of the AIDS people, and I still am actually. I don't see quite so much of him now. And sometimes I have them here as a group to see my nativity collection, and quite a few of them help me put them away when I get ready to put away. And so I have a good part of my time is spent helping them. I also do another organization, the hospice. I took the training for the hospice program, and that's a real meaningful program. I've probably been with 20 different people in the time I've done it, and some of them have been 1 or 2 days, others have been a long time, and that's a real rewarding thing to do, just to see how much help it is for the families. And so I got involved with that probably 6 months after I did the volunteer program for AIDS, and they're a great organization, so that's why I include them in the donation. I don't charge anything for people to come and visit my nativities, but if anybody wants to, I'd love to have them put in my donation basket that is for, I divide it between the AIDS Project and hospice here in Brattleboro, which is used all locally.
shepherds were guarding their flocks at night, the land suddenly became bright with God's glory.